Time. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Back on the practice fields. Oh, man, it was great to be back at the Hatfield-Dowling Complex this morning. Oregon football wrapping up their third practice of the spring, as now the Ducks are into spring term here at the University of Oregon. Earlier, 2 practices before finals week and spring break. Now, spring break behind us, it's officially spring term, and the month of April is basically spring practice. Every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the Ducks are scheduled to practice ahead of the April 29th spring game. Good to be back out there. And we'll have more coming up from Dan Lanning, the Oregon football head coach. Also, it's baseball game day today, 5 o'clock. It's a Pac-12 Insider broadcast, the Quack Video crew producing it. Pre-game starts at 4:45 across the Oregon Sports Network. Myself and Jordan Brenner will be on the call. It's a little bit of a quick turnaround for Oregon baseball because coming off that sweep in Arizona, you heard Jordan Brenner talking about that yesterday, it was a travel day for the Ducks pretty much all day Monday. Oregon then lifted, worked out last night, and they're back on the field tonight at 5 o'clock against a pretty good Portland team. They lost 2 of 3 this past weekend, but Portland didn't really have to use a lot of their bullpen. And for the Ducks now, also getting ready for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday conference series at home against Oregon State, I think the pitching staff will be tested tonight. Offense might need to score some runs. We'll find out. Mark Wazakowski, I talked with him this morning for the Toyota Coaches Corner that you'll hear as part of the 4:45 pregame show. Also on the baseball front, I thought this was really cool. We told you last week about the pro Ducks in baseball and guys that are on major league rosters. This past weekend, we saw Scott McGuff, who spent the last few years in Japan, get the save for the Diamondbacks. That was awesome. Tyler Anderson pitched well. Ryan Nelson made his debut in the starting rotation for the Diamondbacks. Spencer Steer was really good, among others. There are 8 players in the MLB, most in the Pac-12 for Duck baseball. Not UCLA, not Arizona, nobody else. 8 players in Major League Baseball to open the season, the most in the Pac-12 and the third most in the nation for the Ducks. The modern era of Oregon baseball with all of those pro Ducks, that's cool. Congratulations to all those guys. That's the dream, right, to get to that level, and they were able to do it. Before we hear from Dan Lanning, I also want to tell you that softball last night got the win against Montana. Missy Lombardi will be with us here in the Country Financial Studio coming up in just a little while. Also, Athletic Director Tuesday. Deputy Athletic Director Val Johnson will be with us, the senior woman administrator, going through a number of different topics, including women's basketball. And speaking of women's basketball, the Ducks have added a transfer today, the Northwest Athletic Conference Player of the Year and Lane Community College transfer Bella Hamill has been added to the Ducks roster. She's a Hillsboro, Oregon native coming off a championship season at Lane in which she led the Titans to a 32-1 record. Yeah, how about that for Lane? Hamill, a 5'9" guard, averaged 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 3.5 assists while shooting 46% from the field last season. 73 career games at Lane, she scored over 1,200 points. She's just a winner. That's what Coach Graves said, just an absolute winner. And she joins the 18th ranked recruiting class coming in for the Ducks. Roster's in flux. We know it. That's the way that modern college basketball is. But adding a player like this, a local player too, that's a cool connection for Kelly Graves. And congratulations to Bella Hamill for joining the Oregon women's basketball roster. This morning, practice number 3. Dan Lanning, the Oregon football head coach, he met with the media. What do you think of practice number 3 for the Ducks?
From spring break, first practice out there, guys get to wear pads today. It's fun to see guys suit up and go and fly to the ball. I thought there was really good energy at times today, but also felt like we were a team that came back from 2 weeks where we weren't really doing as much active work. So shows up, a lot of mistakes to correct. Right now, spring ball is not about scheme, right? It's about playing ball, playing fast, figuring out who can play. I think we still got to figure out who our players are. Little thinner on offense than we are on defense, just from a numbers standpoint. So got to be conscientious of that as we rep guys. But want to continue to maximize as many reps as we can get. Open it up.
Now that you're able to talk about Tyshim Johnson, just what did you see from him at Ole Miss that made him appealing for you at that nickel spot?
Yeah, a guy that's around the ball, makes a lot of plays. I don't think that we have to look at him exclusively as a nickel. I think he's a guy that has position flexibility that we can use at multiple positions. But he's a playmaker, plays with great effort, he's a physical tackler, has a blitz ability. So I think all those things are really appealing.
You mentioned the depth on offense. Just your thoughts on the depth situation right now at wide receiver specifically, how it impacts things now. But even if everybody was healthy, your outlook at that position where on paper you got 9 guys, and I think it's 6 at the moment.
I don't think that's as big of a piece. There was times we were operating with less last year, right? So it's more about quality than it is necessarily quantity. We have good ones there, and we have more coming in as well, this summer. So it'll be different once we get to season.
What does Matt Rush bring to your quarterback room?
Yeah, just a guy that, there's times you find guys that are around that are on campus that can help you, and if there's somebody that can enhance it from a number standpoint, felt like we had room for another guy that can be out there to help us that's had some experience as a player. We want to be able to take advantage of it. Matt has that.
So he was on campus before spring ball started?
Well, we knew that there was a possibility that he could be here for this term.
What goes on for the coaching staff during break? How far away does your mind get from football, if at all?
Yeah, they take a break. No, I mean, coaches think about football nonstop, right? But just like everybody needs the chance to charge the battery, and there's not really a lot of time outside of that moment in season. So you try to be organized going into break, have the ability to check in, continue to recruit while you're on break, but spend some time with your family is really important to us too.
Where's the depth and talent most different on defense this spring from even during the season, Dan?
I think we probably have a lot more quality defensive line and quality DBs, that can play. But I'll be honest, just from top to bottom, I think there's more that can play. And I've said it before, but the more quality depth that you have that can play, the more players you can play, the better you're going to be on defense.
With Noah Bennett and Gonzo obviously moving on, you're replacing a lot of productive guys, but also voice guys, Noah and Bennett in particular. Who do you look at besides Jeff as who could be some of those, not just leaders, but leaders on the field, the voice, the play callers, the shot callers, and the secondary in particular?
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. It's too early, for us in spring ball to find that. I don't think you anoint people. People got to identify themselves, so we'll see who becomes that.
Speaking of emotional leaders, it looked like Bucky Irving was kind of giving the guys a pep talk, just getting everyone fired up after stretches today. Have you seen him kind of step into that role in year 2 with the program?
I'd love to see it more, right? Bucky's a guy that I think our players respect, from what he's done. But when you're a leader, there's even more that's expected. So when he brings it, it certainly makes our team better, and he did a good job of that today.
Through several practices, what's Will's interactions been like with the players, with the other coaches stepping into the OC role?
Yeah, he's coaching them hard, right? Setting his expectation. I think he coaches with energy and juice, which is great to see because when you coach like that, your players generally play like that.
As a teacher of the game, just what's your favorite part about this time of the year, spring ball?
The grass, just being on the grass. I like being in the classroom talking. I like seeing the aha moments for players, like, oh, wait, that finally clicked, right, and makes sense why we do it the way we do it. But I enjoy that piece.
What are you looking to just see from today to Thursday to Saturday, and then I guess to next Tuesday? What are the pros?
Yeah, consistent growth. I just told the players, like, when these guys get off the field, everyone's going to want to go watch film because they're eager, but first thing they're going to pull up are the plays that they did really well. Right, and the challenge is go focus on the plays you didn't do well. How do we fix those? Right, it's not about the highlights. Right, we could all put together a highlight. Right, it's about the lowlights and how do we eliminate those. So, looking for us not to make the same mistakes Thursday that we made today.
When you and Tosh in particular went over stuff in the offseason, Dan, in terms of just last season, maybe why Havoc wasn't there as much or third down wasn't as good, how much do you attribute it to? In part, there were 3 DCs here in 3 years and 4 and 5 years for some guys where it's just a lot of change. If that happened in the NFL, it would be hard. So I mean, on one hand, you don't want to make excuses, but how much do you attribute to some of the growing pains to that is change in systems, change in terminology a lot for guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Like you said, I'm not big on excuses. So that'd be an excuse to me. I'm not big on excuses. We'll play better. I think we will.
You mentioned being on the grass. You committed to trying to be outdoors as much as you possibly can when you're practicing?
Absolutely, especially on beautiful days like today.
What's been your impression of Tez so far through 3 practices?
He's got speed. I think that shows up. He has the ability to get in and out of breaks, can really create separation with that speed. Obviously, he's a little bit lighter, so we got to get him to continue to bulk up and gain weight for him to be a consistent player, because if you take a couple hits at that size, you're not going to be able to be as productive.
Where's the growth that you want to see just over all of spring with Bo, from year 1 to year 2 for him?
Well, I had a long convo with Bo yesterday. There's a big difference in where he is this year compared to where he was last year, right? And it was kind of earning the respect versus he's earned the respect, right? So now it is. That leadership role is expected for Bo. Expect him to step up, and he has those traits. He's been that guy. But certainly you want the best from your best players, right? And he's proven to be one of our better players, especially in this conference in the nation at quarterback. Want to see that carry over, to the field.
How critical is Jordan Birch to what you're looking to do off the edge, and what that relationship was, in bringing him here from years ago?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about changing a defense. It starts with having guys with great size up front that have the ability to play and have played at a high level. Jordan's done that. Obviously, there's a relationship there before. But really excited about what he can do for our team. He has a demeanor about himself, and I think when you see him at practice, you see how he moves, you say, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like.
When you had him and so many freshman signees on the edge in particular, do you feel like you have the volume of the high gear guys you guys are looking for to create that havoc that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think we have more guys that can, create plays in the backfield for sure.
You've talked a lot about Phil Knight's Shoe Dog being one of your favorite books. There's a new movie coming out tomorrow about Phil Knight. I'm curious if you have any plans to go see that.
I'm going to see it. I'm definitely going to see it. I'm excited about it. It'll be, I know it's a movie and it's not, strictly true fact, but obviously where we're at the University of Oregon wouldn't exist without Phil and Penny Knight. And, I think the story, everybody sees the baby, not everybody sees the labor pains, like how they got to where they're at today. I'm excited to see that story and what it looks like.
When you're replacing so many guys on O-line, Alex in particular, there's no other center in the country calling audibles and the volume of experience that he had. So when you're making a change there, that's coming. How much do you have to kind of change, maybe not expectations, but Alex did so many things for you that just other guys don't do. So when you're looking for a new one and having that competition this spring, what are you looking for at that position?
Yeah, ultimately, you let your players do what they're able to do, right? And you don't limit what their abilities are, right? So Alex had grown over time to a guy that could make those calls, could make changes, identify things. We're not there yet. We don't have that necessarily yet, but that comes with experience. So the more experience we get, the more we can create opportunities for players to take advantage of what's in their tool belt.
That's Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, meeting with the media after practice today. Oregon back on the practice field on Thursday. Also coming up on Saturday, the 2 coordinators on each side of the ball scheduled to meet with the media this week. Have it for you on Duck Insider. Also, the Quack Video crew on the Go Ducks YouTube channel. When we come back, getting ready for baseball. Also, Oregon softball got the win last night. Stevie Hansen, a career-high 14th win. Ducks won 9-1 over Montana at Jane Sanders Stadium, coming off the rivalry weekend. And Melissa Lombardi, Ducks softball head coach, joins us in the studio right after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack here with you, along with Oregon softball head coach Missy Lombardi. Coach, hey, happy spring term. It's officially spring term at the University of Oregon, which to me that's like really softball season. Now we're into the heart of softball season. Does it kind of feel that way for you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, like you're a few conference weekends in. I always feel like spring break, and then you get into spring term. It's like, okay, it's going to be the end of May before we know it. This is when things start to get really fun. You had a fun weekend in Corvallis for the most part. Review it for us. Got a win over the Beavs in Corvallis.
Yeah, I liked how we came out and got 2 wins against them. I thought our team played tough. You know, you could see at times where the first game, for our hitting to come through, we need some additional runs on the board. In the second game, to see our pitching come through. You know, we keep turning those double play balls, which I love. I think they get more excited about the double play ball that we turn than anything else.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I did want to ask you about that. Like, when you have a defense behind you as a pitcher, you know, it gives you so much confidence. Like, going into the season, did you think, okay, that we've got a team that can turn some double plays?
Yeah, I did. But it's funny because on one of the double plays that we turned this weekend, I looked over, Coach Reagan and I stand together when we're on defense, and I'm like, Coach, they're getting faster and faster with turning them. Like, they know how to turn them, but they're just getting faster. And we were just kind of laughing about that. Like, they are getting faster with what they're doing.
Leading the Pac-12 in double play balls, you know, do you guys, like, so I think about it like from a catcher, like you have a pop time. Mm-hmm. Do you guys time like double play turns? Like, do you have an idea of it, or do you just kind of feel like it's getting faster?
It's a little bit of both, you know, a little bit of both. Sometimes it depends on, you know, where it starts and how quick, but it just, to see them pick it up and transfer it, like you could see it's gotten quicker as the year's gone on. 3 double plays in 4 games. So you're averaging like almost a double play per contest. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. So getting the series win, Coach, I did want to ask you about a couple of like the off the field things. So you get some weather issues. You're used to that. Then you get more weather issues, maybe more than you're used to. I don't know. How did you do that this weekend? Like, how'd the team handle the delays, the doubleheader, all the things that you had to handle? I think, you know, you've got to have a strong mentality, you know, anytime you're going to play a ball game, but then also, too, knowing that we're going to have some weather issues. And I think they have handled it really, really well. Again, like the hail came again, which this is new. I haven't seen this much hail since I've been here. But I think they've done a really good job of handling it and, you know, playing and then having to step off the field and have a little bit of a delay and then start back up. These guys are ready to go. They want to play.
What's the off the field strategy? Like, I guess maybe I'm really asking like for pitchers, right? Because you don't want to have a delay burn a pitcher, right? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I think pitching wise, it's a little bit different than baseball pitchers. You know, for us, we can have a little bit of delay and we can send the same person,
arm warm.
Out there to warm up again. Where with baseball, they're having to make a change. I think it's the mindset more than anything. I think sometimes when you get into a delay, you start to wonder if you're going to play or not. And I think these guys do a really good job in knowing that we are playing.
Let's talk about pitching. Stevie Hansen, 2 wins this weekend, 14 on the season, 2nd in the Pac-12. already more than she had as a freshman. Now, you knew she was going to get a lot more time this year, but still, I feel like she's really taken steps forward every week. What have you seen from Stevie?
Yeah, we love giving her the ball. She likes to compete, and she likes to get after it. And, she's had some times this season where she's had some tough times, and then some times where, she's pitched well. And that's what it is when it comes to the pack. And so it's just us giving her the ball and saying, come on, let's get it. And, you got a great defense to play behind you and offense as well. So
Reagan Breedlove, 2 saves also. I bring this up a lot because it's something that you and I have discussed a lot. I think it's fascinating, like the way that you can use the whole staff now. Like it used to be that the national leader in saves had like 4 or something like that at the end of the year. It's not that way anymore, and Reagan's really given that to you.
She has, and what I like is that Reagan has a heavy drop ball. Her ball is heavy, and so for having a heavy ball and the opponent hitting the ball, it's more than likely going to be on the ground.
I did want to ask you about a few other individuals. As Missy Lombardi joins us, Oregon softball head coach. We saw Kai Lushar make her first 2 starts. What went into that?
Kai has been waiting. Unfortunately, she got an injury right at the beginning of the year, and it's just sidelined her. And she's been waiting and practicing and doing whatever she can, to get back out. And so I think you're just seeing how excited she is to have the opportunity to be back out on the field again.
Did you see like an exhale when she was able to start and like get back out there more? Because I always see that like, I'm back.
Yes, with a big smile. Just, I think you always get a different perspective when you have to sit.
Yeah.
It makes you look at the game and look at things totally different than how you looked at it when you were right in the middle of it playing. And I think that perspective usually goes a long way.
What's she going to do for you moving forward? How much can she help the depth of this team?
Oh, a ton. I mean, you can see, speed kills, and she just can flat out run. Her short game, I thought she's done a really good job with her bunts. The opponent knows that she's going to bunt, but it doesn't matter. She's so fast. And I think she's done a really good job with just her chop slaps. If she's able to chop that ball on the ground, now it's a foot race between her and the defender picking the ball up and getting rid of it.
And she's going to win.
And she's going to win, yeah.
That's amazing to think about, just the way that can impact a game, because you need a hit.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to get one, right? I think it's interesting. Like, you talk about the depth of a lineup and ways that you can score different runs. That's a great example that you now have another tool at your disposal, it sounds like.
Yes, for sure. We've missed her, and so it's been great to see her come back and just go for it.
The other Lushar, I thought really set the tone. Kedre in the first game, I should say game 1. I was going to say Friday, but it ended up not being Friday. That messes me up. So now I'm like, okay, Saturday game 1, Saturday game 2. I don't know if you do that too, but going 3 for 4, threw out a runner at third base. We talk about the defense, offense. What'd you see?
Yeah, I thought she really impacted the game. To come up and get that big hit to left field, we needed that. And then for her to throw the runner out, and we talk a lot about, can we eliminate base runners? If a base runner gets on, how can we eliminate them? So for her to eliminate a base runner in scoring position.
Talk about the weekend, but now also the Monday game. You had the noon game. I appreciated your email to the entire staff that gave us all permission to leave early and have a long lunch. I appreciated that. Well done. Great work.
Thank you.
Little internal communications inside. See, Duck Insider, we can do that for you here. What'd you see? And I was curious, Coach. Like, before I even ask, like, getting a run rule win, how big of a deal that is against Montana, like, playing that game against Montana, that's a little bit of a scheduling advantage that you can have when you can have that game on a Monday, add another game to your week. What goes into that as a coach?
Yeah, we're always trying to figure out how we can insert different games. So, I think the pack is tough enough, but you're going to have to insert games before a weekend or after a weekend, and it worked out. We were able to get Montana after the weekend. Those games, we talk about those games that they could be trap games.
Right.
I think midweek games in general can be trap games because you're so caught up in what you just got done with or what's next. Can you stay locked in, for that game? And it's not anything to the opponent. You could be playing number 1, it's still can be a trap game. And I thought we started out just a little slow, scored a couple runs, early. And then from there, you could see us start to get hot at the end. We pulled some, had some pinch hitters off the bench that loved Carissa coming up with that bomb. Just pretty left-handed swing. Kate Howard coming up and hitting a double, it just felt like those guys coming in did a lot for us. It just kind of got us fired up and going.
Carissa's first career home run as a Duck.
Yeah.
That's a special moment.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love to see stuff like that, because you never forget those moments, right? Like, that's something that you go throughout an entire season, and is it going to be like on the season highlight reel? Absolutely, it's going to be on the season highlight reel, right? Like the first career homer as a Duck. Missy Lombardi joining us a couple more minutes. After a slower offensive second part of the weekend, how big was it to break through there at the end in the Monday game? I feel like that's a real benefit of a Monday game. You didn't make it into a trap game. It ended up being a momentum-building game for you.
For sure. I thought it definitely built momentum for us. I thought we walked away. Sometimes you got to figure a couple things out, or I don't think we all necessarily liked how we played our final game in the series. And to me, the best thing that you can do is get right back out on the field and play another opponent.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's hard to do, right? Like, but we were talking off the air, and I'm curious to ask you this on the air. Like, say that game is 6 o'clock on Tuesday. You don't have as quick of a turnaround to sort of get that sour taste out of your mouth. There's a real benefit to that, I'd imagine, when it works out that way for you.
I think so. And I just think, this group, one thing that they've showed throughout the years, just anytime we don't quite get what we want, the bounce back is really big. They always come through.
The bounce back is so hard to do. But, like, we sit here and say, oh, what a bounce back when I'm on the show on Monday, right? But, like, that's a difficult mentality thing. You must coach that. You talk about that a lot off the field.
Yeah, I think these guys persevere, and I think they want to play hard for each other, and that they're in it. So I like I said, I thought we started just a tad slow, but then I just really liked our finish with yesterday.
This weekend now, Lindenwood in town. So it's a Thursday and Friday set, both at 6 o'clock. How the heck did you get Lindenwood on the schedule? Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, it just, every in the pack, every one of us has a bye weekend. And so from there, you go and see other conferences in the bye weekends that they have. And we matched up with them. So we're thankful for them to come to Eugene to give us another home series, and play. Last year, same thing. We had a bye weekend and we had to be off because we couldn't find anybody to match up with us.
How rare is it I don't even know the answer to this. How rare is it across the country to have a bye week in conference play? Like,
there's conferences that do, and then there's conferences that don't.
But it's limited selection.
It's very limited.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating a little bit.
I remember last year you talked about how, like, it was a chance to do some inter squad stuff, but playing another opponent, like, that's always more valuable, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime we can get out on the field and play, that's what we want to do. Last year we couldn't match up with anybody, so to play ourselves, I think, was a really good opponent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Missy Lombardi, final thoughts. Friday is the B Oregon game. 2 games against Lindenwood, Thursday and Friday, out of the Ohio Valley Conference. Pac-12 live stream. KWA Ryan Milano, his crew will have the call for you at 6 o'clock. What do you want to see this week? It's back at the Jane. You love that. What do you want to see from your squad?
Yeah, I think for us, just to, you look at where we're at right now, and we're halfway through the conference, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to start getting hot, and this team has not peaked, which is great. We're not ready. It's too early to peak, but I think for us to start getting hot with what we're doing.
Got a little more depth now, too.
Yeah.
That helps. Missy Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. Be at the Jane, 6 o'clock. Both days, Thursday, Friday. It's going to be sunny and 75, I see, Coach.
Yes. It's going to be really hot.
Always sunny and 75 at the Jane. When we come back, we're going to look around at some spring football. Also, Val Johnson, Deputy Athletic Director, going to be with us for Athletic Director Tuesday on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Look at the perfect timing. Val Johnson walks in. I mean, are you okay to like catch your breath for a second? Is that cool? Well, you literally ran here.
I did because I was running late. So
no, you weren't. You got here at 1:30.
Got off an interview, and but late is Olivia's here. She knows. What is it? She can't even talk.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. She does know.
I want you to know that she was already signed up to work today.
Oh, good.
And I told her yesterday that you would be here, and she was like, "Oh,
good.
I didn't even know."
Good. I get to see my mom.
So yeah, one of our interns is Val's daughter. So welcome to Athletic Director Tuesday.
Thanks.
Do you want to catch your breath?
That's good. That's okay. It reminds me I need to be in better shape. But
nah, I mean it was a full dead sprint from wherever you were, right?
And yeah, well, of course.
What's the shoe? What are the shoes today?
I call them my old lady heels, but they're real comfy.
Can you sprint in heels?
No, it's a slow, awkward running jog type of thing.
Okay. I'm not familiar. You know,
yeah.
I have no experience.
It's like awkward running jog.
Okay.
But, you know.
Well, welcome back to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you, crew.
Glad to have you. We were going to hear a little bit from Kylu Shar. We're going to table that.
Okay.
Because you're here. And
I'm here.
We're going to give you 5 minutes of your day back by getting you out of here 5 minutes early.
That's all right.
What's been new?
You know, it's just all the things. It's
all the things.
All the things. I mean, I don't even remember when I was in here first, but I know my way around. I figured out how to use my keys. I still don't have my fingerprint for Hayward. I know people's names. It's all good. It's great. We got through women's basketball season, made it through the postseason, ended a little sooner than what we liked. But it was good. It was really, really good and just really excited. Already started talking about spring volleyball season.
Nice.
Looking at those dates. We're already making plans for basketball season. We're in full spring season. Got to experience my love for lacrosse. If you haven't been out to lacrosse, that's a great game.
It is.
This is new for me. Us West Coasters aren't hip to the lacrosse game. At least us old West Coasters. That's fun.
Yep.
I was out there this weekend. Olivia was at home on the couch watching basketball, eating my food.
Wow.
All the things. And I had to bundle up. Went out in the snow, in the hail. Went out to lacrosse. It was a heartbreaking overtime sudden death loss. It was heartbreaking. But those student athletes were amazing. And it was my first full lacrosse. Is it game or match? Game. Thank you. I'm learning all the lingo. The coaches are really coaching me up on this.
Good.
I actually had a film sesh with the assistant coaches, and they broke down film for me. It's great. They're having to translate a lot of things to me into different sport terminology.
That's fine.
But it's great. It helps me, and then I'm learning all my lacrosse terminology. But that was fun. So if you haven't been out, definitely go out and watch that. Softball, that's been awesome. I mean, it's just good. I just want the weather to start cooperating.
Yeah.
But like yesterday, a noon softball game. Could you imagine if it was 70 degrees? And it's like, oh, that's rough. I got to go out and watch softball.
Yeah, especially first day of class, by the way. So imagine the amount of students that walk by and we're like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it would have been really rough to go to class if it was like 75 first day of spring class. Yeah.
Well, so I asked you your 2-minute life story, and I like to do like the 30-second life update. That was it.
That was good.
You did it without me even asking.
Okay, good.
So
good.
If you want to just host the show, I'll get up and go. Just so what do you want to talk about today?
Oh, there's a lot. I would say probably, I'm sure the viewers, the biggest thing in the last with the last week, obviously with the basketball championships, hoops has just been the story for the last week, especially women's hoops. I think
which is cool to see.
Yeah, it's been really amazing for us to see. And I think, especially since here, women's hoops is such a key part of what we do here in Eugene, and then to see it on a national stage with just the amazing performance between LSU and Iowa. It was just pretty spectacular. I think it was, 9.9 million viewers. That I think has just elevated the women's game for all sports, but specifically women's basketball. So that was really cool. And then on the heels of it, we also see the highs and lows, especially here in our own backyard. We've all seen it. It's like the elephant in the room. It's hard with the landscape of collegiate athletics, but it is what we are today. We know that Tahina has entered into the transfer portal. It's always, hard when our student athletes have made those decisions, but also we support them in these decisions. I think sometimes we lose sight that our student athletes are people, and they have things going on in their lives, and they have life decisions to make just like all of us do. And as hard as that is, they have to make these decisions. And it's interesting, my daughter's sitting here, she's 19, she's not that different than our student athletes' ages. And, it's easy for us to sit behind our computers or social media and try to figure out why would someone make a decision to do that. And I just ask people, it's the same conversation we were having after the national championship game. Think about what you're doing or saying on social media. And don't assume that you know the full story, because no one does. And whether you're a coach or a student athlete or even a spectator, people are making decisions that you have no idea what's going into their decision making. And at the end of the day, we are all here to support one another. And I hope especially our fan base understands that. And so just at the end of the day, my role is to support not only our coaches, but also our student athletes. And so, it's hard. It is hard. It is gut-wrenching, when we see our student athletes making those decisions to leave, but we support them wholeheartedly, and we do our best to ensure that they have a good experience while they're here, and also support them with their transition as they're leaving here. Same thing with our coaches. My job is to help support our coaches, and not only with what they're doing while they're here, but also when they're out recruiting our future Ducks. And so right now, that's what they're doing. And it's a whole new landscape. I think I was texting with our director of operations, Brielle Mosley, and I think she said we're there's like 1,000 in the transfer portal right now on the women's basketball side. So this is not just an Oregon thing happening. As much as we think this is just happening at the University of Oregon, it is not. And any other university across the nation is having these same conversations, or this gut-wrenching of like, I can't believe so-and-so's entering the transfer portal. But it's just happening. It's the landscape of what we're in. It's literally a different ballgame right now. So, but yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here today.
Of course, I can hang out with you guys all day. What else do we want to talk about?
So I think that I'm going to make a proposal that we've been long planning for Coach Graves and Coach Ulmer to co-host a Duck Insider. So right before the world shut down in 2020, they were going to do it in the spring. And with everything going on, schedules, busyness, all these things, I haven't gotten a chance to have them sit down and do it again. I want to have them host, and I think you should be the primary guest.
Oh, my gosh.
Are you in?
I'm so in.
Okay. We're gonna make this happen. I'm gonna figure out a time when Coach Graves isn't out of town doing his thing, recruiting, and Coach Ulmer's not coaching in the spring. We're gonna find a date. It's gonna happen.
Oh, we'll make it happen.
It'll be
the
so highest. I will not have a job again after we do this, but I'm okay with that because it'll be spectacular content.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah. So, what would you ask them?
Can we have it be a live show where we invite like guests?
I can try. The studio's big enough, like we could have a studio audience. I think.
Could you imagine? Let's
I
all picture it. Like we're out. It's kind of like game day.
Yeah,
where we like on some elevated platform. It's like game day. People are out. We have food and drinks. Some food carts.
Scott's in. Yeah, Scott's in. We could pull this off. We're gonna come back to this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
That's it's something that is difficult to pull off, but worth the effort to get them to be in the same room for an hour. I will tell you, though, I'll just be honest, they will not take all the commercial breaks.
No,
they won't.
No. There will be. A commercial break can happen, but I feel like that's that's the content that the live audience will want to be there to see.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is good. This is good. I'm glad that Val Johnson came in today. We're going to get a timeout, come back. I have like 5,000 other bullet points for you.
Okay. We could do like rapid fire.
Let's make it a game show when we come back. More of Athletic Director Tuesday with Valerie Johnson on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready for our little forest adventure?
Yes! So much waiting for me. Yeah, I wanna go outside. I wanna be.
We're here.
Whoa, that was fast.
There's a forest closer than you think. Find a park or forest near you and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by USDA Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Valerie Johnson's here. It's take two of today and also the second time that you've been in the studio. So, hey, thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, I asked you, like, a little bit jokingly, 30-second life update, but you've settled in. I feel like you really had to hit the ground sprinting with when you started in this position. Accurate assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I started right at the the start of women's basketball season. I mean, It was January. So
conference season, okay, here we go.
Season. Yeah, it was conference season. So I was able to get a sneak peek, in the preseason at, PK. And, but yeah, moved down here, and we still don't have furniture, just for the record. So we're getting there. We're not quite settled yet, but we're
Are you
getting
doing
there.
like the Joey and Chandler have found, like, rusty patio furniture in the basement of the
No,
apartment building? And
It's not quite that bad. I mean, we were
Camping chairs?
We technically were living in the basement. We were definitely living in the basement. We are now halfway living in the basement. It's first world basement though.
It's a process.
Yeah, but I mean, we're better.
Good. Well, I'm
We're
glad to hear that. Review the WNIT for us. By the way, thanks for going on with our guy Terry and talking a little bit about the process on the pregame show. 'Cause fans, I heard from a bunch of people, like they love being able to hear that. So I kind of wanted you to maybe do that again now that it's been a summation of a postseason. You know, there's a lot of moving parts that goes into it, and yourself and Aaron Wasson, there's a lot of moving parts that go into supporting the WNIT.
Yeah, it's an interesting process because I think it had been since 2016 since we were in the WNIT.
Yep.
The motto it was a great process. We would prefer to be in the NCAA tournament. We were grateful to still be playing in the postseason because with anyone following the tournament in itself, the NCAA tournament, most of our teams in the Pac-12 were done playing long before we were.
That's right.
So we were playing long after most of the other teams.
Yep.
The longer you play, the better it goes. That's more touches, that's more practice, that's more time with the team. That's the goal of any postseason, period. But the WNIT is a very interesting process. On the men's side, the men's NIT, the men's NIT process is actually already operated through the NCAA. So that's how we knew that we were going to be hosting those first 3 rounds at home. It was already locked in. The women's NIT is not operated through the NCAA. It's a third-party entity. So each round you're bidding to host. And it's based off a lot of different factors. Your attendance, it's based upon your net, where you were seated in your conference tournament, all sorts of different factors. Aaron Wasson, full credit goes to him. He handles all of the postseason play for all of our sports teams. He does an amazing, amazing job. And he really coached me through that process. We called ourselves, we were the WNIT team.
You were the WNIT committee.
Yeah, the committee. We had a lot of committee meetings, and then we would get back to them. And we had a lot of consultants. Of course, we had Jason Harrison tickets. We had obviously Malcolm. All sorts of consultants, and that's how we made a lot of the decisions. But it was literally game by game. I mean, we'd sit there and we would wait for a text in the 3rd or 4th quarter to let us know whether or not we were going to be hosting the next round.
Right.
And that sounds crazy, but that's how it was. So obviously that last round there that we were in, they moved us up to Washington, and all honesty, I was driving up I-5 to drive my son up to Portland, and I was at a rest stop on the I-5 when I got the call saying that they were moving us up to Seattle, and I would like to say that I was fine with that decision. I was not. And I pulled over to a rest stop, and I wanted rationale for why. And really the rationale that they gave is that they had seeded in our conference tournament, they had seeded Washington as an 8 and us as a 9. And that our previous round, that Washington's attendance was about the same as ours, right about that 3,200 mark. So that's how they justified moving us up there. So did not sit well, but that's really as simple as it comes down to.
Yeah.
Kudos to our fans, though, because our attendance definitely does play into us being able to continue hosting those games. But that's how the WNIT works until I think next year they're looking at a different structure through the NCAA.
And that's, a lot of people have asked me. I know Terry's gotten a lot of questions. I'm sure you've gotten even more. Like, what's it going to look like next year? Because there's all these rumors. I don't know. Do we have any confirmation?
No,
we're still kind of waiting.
Not yet. And it's great because for us, Lisa Peterson, my predecessor, longtime Duck, she served as the chair on the NCAA Women's Basketball Committee, and is also with the Pac-12 Conference now. So she will definitely have some insight into what that's going to look like for what the NCAA does in regards to a second tournament for the women.
Well, look forward to it. Val Johnson joining us. I did want to ask you, now that the women's season has come to a close in hoops, have you got a chance now to sort of like take a breath and be like, okay, here's what my priorities are going to be moving forward? Like, how have you approached that as an administrator?
A little bit of a breath, but it really, the season never really ends. I mean, so right now, I've been in a constant communication with our women's basketball staff about things like scheduling for the next season, recruiting. There's a recruit what day is today? Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
148 Tuesday, April 4th.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's always needs a nice little time check. So recruits will start coming onto campus. But yeah, definitely looking, it's a different type of season. My focus will start shifting a little bit more towards volleyball now, as they're getting prepped for their season, because truthfully August will be right around the corner. And then all the other things, I want to make sure that I spend time with our other teams, to make sure that I'm learning more about them, like I talked about with lacrosse, even though that women's basketball and volleyball are the two sports that I have direct administrative responsibility and oversight with. Our other sports are equally as exciting and important to me, so I want to make sure I invest some time and energy with them.
Well, real quick, if I could, I'm glad that you said that, because one of the questions that I've been getting as I've had your colleagues on talking about like how Aaron Wasson's now the sport liaison for softball, for example, like the oversight has changed a little bit within the senior administration.
Right.
Spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's great for us, because then it helps us give those coaches the support and the attention that they really need for not only them as coaches and their coaching staff, but also the student athletes. And it doesn't mean that, I don't go to softball. It doesn't mean that at all, or that we're not involved with that. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of their operation, it gives them that specific person that they know they can go to. I mean, but like today I was talking to a supporter of all of our women's programs, and there was a question about, something that happened at the softball game at Oregon State. I was like, it's not like I'm just going to transfer the call over to Aaron. I mean, I'm going to look into it and I'll give him the update. It just helps to make sure that there's a strong net of support for all of our programs.
I love that. I mean, my little world of it, like Coach Lombardi was just on right before you, and I was calling the baseball game in Arizona, but it's not like I'm not keeping track of what's happening at softball, you know, and going to softball as much as I can. And that's what Ryan Milano's for. Ryan gets to go call the softball games.
Yeah.
Even at Oregon State, where there was no cover, no power, and no internet, he found a way to get on the air. Well done, Ryan.
Actually, it's funny, Ryan. That was what my phone call was about. I heard you guys were under like a Rubbermaid bin or something. Was that you?
I think he brought the Rubbermaid bin. Yes, I did. Yeah, he brought the Rubbermaid bin. Oh, good.
So just so you know, that was what the phone call was about. We had parents and fans looking out for you. They did not like that. So I have you on my to-do list to ensure that you're well taken care of when you're doing radio and stuff out on the road.
Well done. Good job, Ryan.
You were my phone call.
The only series that Ryan and his crew is not going to make it to this year was the series in Mexico. International travel was tough for these guys. But otherwise, they've been at every single softball game this year. So well done to Ryan and his crew. I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I always said, like, when I was doing softball games, I was underneath the tarp overhang that the facilities crew built for us at Howe Field. It can be done.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
There's always a way.
So well done, Ryan. Glad that you were able to make it. Well, Val, we're a little bit up against the clock. I've only got like 30 seconds left for you, so we're going to have to do this again because I only got to a third of my bullet points. Thank you for being a good interview. Anything else fans should know? What are any parting words until we talk to you again in like a month?
No, I just say always. It's the best fan base for sure. So thank you for just always supporting our Ducks, and just truly appreciate everything that y'all do for us. So go Ducks.
Thanks, Val.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. You've got 7 minutes of your day back. Sweet. Nice. And Olivia was so on top of it, she already turned your mic off. Do you hear that? Maybe? Yes! When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more softball. Baseball tonight, it is game day. Ducks in Portland at PK Park. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding inexpensive grounds, ballroom and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. They can spell risk if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, harm if accidentally taken by a child or pet, or overdose if they're not used as directed. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. You may find these in your community at local pharmacies or police stations. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
We are back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Coach Lombardi today, Valerie Johnson today, a really full show. Heard from Dan Lanning after practice, and also Oregon baseball coming up tonight. I said that we would hear a little bit from Kai Luchar. We'll have to table that for tomorrow. But really cool to see both the Luchars have a nice weekend, huh? And cool to see Kai get her first 2 starts over the last weekend for the Ducks. Coach Lombardi, you heard her say it earlier, that she can be a real impact player with her speed. It was her birthday weekend, Ryan says. I did turn 21. All right, that's cool to be back in the lineup. That's awesome. And, this is going to be something that I think about as we get into, more and more diamond sports. But the kind of player that Kai Luchar is, I feel like very similar to Riku Nishida. Ryan's nodding his head. I want to see the dead sprint off between Kai Luchar and Riku Nishida to first base. Maybe both at the Jane and both at PK Park. Who wins the foot race? Fastest 60, fastest 90. I think it's a very fair question. Similar players, they like to slap the ball and get on base. This past weekend, I'm telling you, Riku Nishida, that guy could not get out on Arizona's field because you just put it in play and good things happen when you're playing at High Corbett Field. It's exactly what Riku Nishida did. And talking about baseball now heading into tonight, Portland is a good team. I'm just going to be honest with everybody. They didn't have to use a lot of pitching this past weekend. Portland didn't. Oregon did. Ducks have a short turnaround for a conference game against Oregon State on Thursday. Offense needs to swing the bats tonight. 4:45 is the pregame show. Also, women's golf, they're in action today. The women's golf team was in 7th place after the opening round yesterday. They're back in action today, started this morning. Also, always a good time when you can say, happy birthday, Bev Smith. It's Bev Smith's birthday. See you at PK tonight.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacy